Awesome.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the webinar here. We are talking about AI powered content creation. My name is Linz Florin, and I am the GM and a podcast producer at Growth Network Podcast. We make podcasts for organizations and institutions and other groups that need to do that sort of thing. And we also have made this little handy dandy book here, the 5-Star Podcast Journal. And we created a podcast and a newsletter with Brian from Such Radio, who you will be hearing from shortly. I am here to help get things started. And I want you to make sure that if you have any questions, you put them in the Q&A. That's where we're going to be monitoring for questions, but also hit up the chat, go ahead and change, go ahead and holler at us in the chat as well, but holler at each other in the chat, and we'll be getting started here. So what I want to do here is, since we are talking about AI powered content creation, just get all your brains thinking about what kind of content you want to create, who's it for, all these sorts of things. Because when Brian comes up here, he's going to tell us a little bit about himself, and then he's going to launch into all these things. And your brain is going to pop off with everything it can do, especially with the guidance, the tips and tricks that Brian's going to bring. So I want to introduce my pal and soon to be your pal, Brian Colburn from Such Radio, who's going to come here and teach us the ways of AI powered content creation. Welcome, Brian.
Lynn's always good to see you. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. You are the man.
Thank you very much.
And I want to ask you one additional question. You have a podcast launching shortly that has very deep meaning and some sentiment behind it. Would you mind sharing that with everybody real quick?
I would be happy to. This is the podcast called Rediscovering Debbie Campbell, and it is about my stepmom, who was a singer starting in the 1960s. She had an all-girl group when she was a teenager. I've found the other women she was in this band with. I've been interviewing them and other people from her musical career over time, and there's a whole great story to tell. And I've been teasing it to Brian for months and months and months, and it's finally showing up. We're going to be getting the first episode here in just a couple of weeks.
Which is awesome. And I've heard so much about it over the course of a year and a half, and am eagerly anticipating listening to it and getting to know that part of your life a little better.
Thank you. It's really fun to have a community of creators here that all our projects are so different, but it's cool because you get to be enthusiastic and excited about other people's work. And that's fun.
It is fun. And you have a Facebook group or page going on right now where people can follow you and get announcements and updates as far as episodic release, correct?
Yeah, the Rediscovering Debbie Campbell, it's on most of the socials, and there's a Facebook group because we have people who used to know her in that group already so far, people that played music with her on stage and everything. So it's a really cool community of people, new fans, as well as people who knew her from way back in the day.
That is so very cool, Linz. Congrats on getting that out. I know you've been putting months of work into it, so
Many
gotta
months.
feel good.
Yep.
All right. Well, without further ado, we are going to talk about AI powered content creation. Now, everybody, I shouldn't say everybody. I'm sure most people by now have heard of Chat GPT, and that is the tool we are going to be playing with today. And before we get into actually sharing my Chat GPT screen, we're going to talk about what it is and what it isn't first. So, AI powered content creation. I've been playing with this religiously for quite some time now, trying different things. I've been part of a couple exploratory groups, and trying to push the limits of what we can and can't get and how to best get information out of it. And today I want to share that with you. So, Elon Musk himself said ChatGPT is scary good. We are not far from dangerously strong AI. And I have to agree with him. Everybody that I introduced to it is just kind of blown away about it what it returns to us based off what we ask, and just how easy workflows can become. So, a little bit about ChatGPT. It is a creation of OpenAI. It had 1 million users within 5 days of launch. It had 100 million users by January 1st, 2023. So, just a month and a couple of days, it had 1 million users. 1 billion visits in February of 2023, 1.6 billion visits in March 2023. And Microsoft has jumped on the wagon and has invested $10 billion into OpenAI. I'm super excited about that because I can see AI coming to Excel and Word and PowerPoint and other Microsoft tools, which, we're a Microsoft house, so we're eagerly looking forward to that. So ChatGPT, it's an AI-powered conversational agent based on GPT, which is generative pre-trained transformer. So it's more of a language model than an artificial intelligence, but it will generate human-like responses in natural language trained on vast amounts of text. Every time people use it, it gets a little better. The content that it's trained on has been phenomenal. It's browsed the internet and has done a lot of learning to help make us a little faster. So ChatGPT enables streamlined content creation, and I'm going to go through an example in ChatGPT here shortly. Creative idea generation, build structure around random thoughts and ideas, provide different perspectives, summarize and improve text, and developing an execution plan. And these are things I've done with it personally for personal projects, business projects, etc. I learned about the CD prompting model from a gentleman on TikTok. And I saved his video and I watched it several times, and I really wanted to wrap my head around it and try it. And it is now one of the prompting models I preach and share with others. So CD prompting model, CIDI, not the CD side of AI, the CD prompting model. So what it stands for is context, instructions, details, and input. It's that easy. CD, context, instruction, details, and input. So we're going to go through a prompt that we're going to play with. CD prompting. C, again, context. I am a podcaster with a show about the TV series The Walking Dead. We're setting some context. I, for instructions, I'm telling it to act as a copywriter. Please provide a short bio for the actor Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who played Negan. I also need 10 questions I should ask him that he has not yet been asked before about The Walking Dead. Details. Start from the introduction of his character to his last scene. Input. This interview will focus on the love-hate relationship the audience had with Negan, who first appeared in the sixth season finale and 24th and final episode. Sorry, I can't even read my own writing. In the 11th season. So when we combine all of that, we are going to end up with a prompt that looks something like this. Now I color coded it to break out the CIDI. And what we are going to do is copy and paste this into ChatGPT. Now, Linz, give me a thumbs up if my ChatGPT is in view. Awesome. Let me get back to that prompt. And let me get back to that slide. And let me figure out how I'm going to copy and paste something that's on a slideshow that every time I click keeps moving. Tell you what, we're going to end that slideshow. We don't need no stinking slideshow right now. So what I did was I copied that prompt and I'm pasting it into the prompt box. Now you notice I'm using ChatGPT 4. This is the paid version of ChatGPT. but ChatGPT 3.5 was going to return something probably a little faster and similar to what 4 is doing. But when we choose 4, we can ask it to browse the internet, which I have a demonstration of later. And there's a bunch of plugins, which, if time allows, I'll show you a couple of those as well. So, with selecting ChatGPT 4, I'm going to paste that prompt in the chat box, word for word, or prompt box, and I'm going to let it fly. So, right now it's thinking, and it's going to start typing, returning an answer and information that I've asked for. So it's starting off with a great bio that I would be able to read to introduce him to this fictitious show. It even included other things he performed in, like Supernatural and Grey's Anatomy. And now it's giving me the questions I should ask him. Now, I asked it to return questions I should ask that he's never been asked. I doubt it went that far. So a little vetting has to occur. And I would encourage you to research and vet out any return that it gives you, especially if it's attempting to state fact. I wouldn't want to put my name on false news and introduce it to the world. So there's a couple of things we do once we get a return. But as you can see, it gave me a beautiful introduction, a little more about him, and then 10 interview questions, which is pretty cool. So we're going to stay on this screen, and I'm just going to manually pop through the slide presentation that's out of your view right now. Excuse me. So now I want to show you how we can adjust the prompt. So instead of asking it to regenerate or starting a new prompt and asking our question in a different way, we're going to go back up to our ask, and we have this little copy icon here. We're going to click that, and a couple of things happen. We can now edit our initial ask, which is cool, and we still see the first return down here. So I'm a podcaster with a show about the TV series The Walking Dead that aired from 2010 to 2022. Acting as a copywriter, I'll correct my spelling, please provide a short bio for the actor Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who played Negan. I also need 10 questions I should ask that he has not been asked before about The Walking Dead, about his experiences working with the cast and crew of The Walking Dead. So this should return something a little more specific to the production of the show than the original return that we have down below. We're going to continue to read this and see if there's any more prompting we want to tweak. Start from the introduction of his character to his last scene. The interview will focus on the love-hate relationship the audience had with Negan, who first appeared in the 6th season finale. We're just going to add the word "and" through the 24th and final episode of the 11th season. Again, we'll say the character written to facilitate the love-hate relationship. So if you're a horrible typist and or speller, like I can be from time to time, I'm using the Grammarly plugin for with the web browser extension on it, and it saves me quite a bit. So now that I've retweaked my prompt, I'm going to click Save and Submit. Now our first response went away, and it's generating a second response for us. We're going to let it do its thing. And it's returning the questions now. Cool. So it finished. It gave us number 10. Now I want you to notice up here in the left corner, we're 2 of 2. If I click to the left, we are now 1 of 2. So my first prompt and its return is still here and still viable. And I can click to my second prompt and I can see how my modifying the prompt has adjusted the return that I'm getting. Now, say I might love 8 questions from the second response, but the first response had a couple good ones as well. Well, I can move those onto a Word doc or a Google doc for use when I'm actually interviewing him, if I ever had the opportunity to interview him. It would be kind of cool. I was one of those that had a love-hate relationship with that character. Linz, you?
I never saw The Walking Dead.
Linz, you are dismissed.
All right. I will be in the chat.
um, so that's a really cool example of how we can use ChatGPT and other language models that are out there to help us come up with content for an upcoming episode. And again, in just a couple of minutes, I have a few cool prompts that I've played with in the past, and we're actually going to go explore. So, right now, say we're happy with this. We're happy with all of this. We're on 2 of 2. And we want to create some content to promote this episode when it airs. So I'm going to come down here in the prompt box again and ask it, acting as a social media manager, please generate 5 Facebook posts to promote this episode. And let me just give Facebook a capital F. And I am going to, but wait, there's more. Please include trending hashtags for The Walking Dead. H. And let it fly. It's even throwing some emojis in there for me, which is pretty cool. Hashtag TWD, hashtag Negan revealed, hashtag The Walking Dead. So now, along with some imagery that we create for these posts, we now have 5 pieces of social media for Facebook that we can promote our episode on once it's released. And now this is something else I like to do. And because Twitter is such a different medium than most other social media platforms, I like to get a lot of tweets out of this. Let's say now I need 10 tweets for the promotion of this episode. Now, I'm not going to ask it for hashtags. Let's see if it's learned and or if it's going to include emojis as well.
Yeah, and you could ask it to make them in threads.
That you can, which is really cool as well. So now I'm getting 10 tweets. I already have 5 Facebook posts to promote this episode that's not yet recorded. So once it goes through the recording phase, maybe I might tweak some of the language on some of these, or maybe something revolutionary was said, and I want to add a few tweets to it. I can do that once the content's recorded and edited and ready for release. And it's on number 10. There we go. Hashtags and emojis yet again included, which is pretty cool. So I hope that opens your eyes up to what this tool can do. And I've got a couple more examples. I'm just going to click on the link for that return. I believe it's linking to the return, and I'll walk you through my thought process when I was crafting it. So let me just copy the URL and paste it right here since I'm already logged in. All right, let's run up to the top. This was a ChatGPT-4 prompt web browsing. I wanted it to go search the internet and return information to me. I'm going to paste a URL to an individual's wiki page. Please write a summary to be used as an introduction for a podcast, and then write 10 questions for him. Let me know when you're ready. Now, I did not include his name. I did not include much information about him, but I told ChatGPT I'm going to paste a link to a Wikipedia page. So it replies, sure, I'm ready. Please provide the URL. Here's the URL to Phineas Banning's Wikipedia page. It takes a little while to browse the internet. As you can see here, you get a nice little finish, and then it starts pumping out an introduction. I wasn't quite sure what I was going to get because Phineas Banning is dead. He passed away in the early 1900s. He was instrumental in building the breakwater in Los Angeles and turning Los Angeles into the shipping mecca it is today. But it didn't catch the fact that he was dead, and it returned me some awesome information that I've read through and I've vetted, mainly because it's pulling from his Wikipedia page. And then it gave me some questions to ask Mr. Phineas Banning. And then I've asked, suggest 5 experts in the development of Los Angeles who would make engaging guests for a podcast. And it gave me 5 more names, all surrounding Los Angeles becoming the city it is today. But you can just go on and on. Using the information and questions for Mr. Banning, can you please generate a script for the entire episode? Intro music, host speaks, host speaks, host speaks. Applause. Banning responds. Now, it doesn't give me his response because we don't know what his response would be if this were an actual interview. So it gave us a script that we can now tweak, edit, play with. Again, I asked for Facebook posts, and it gave me Facebook posts. This time, because this was about a month ago when I ran this prompt, there were no emojis, but there were hashtags. Oh, there's an emoji up here for the tweet. Facebook post, 1 long Facebook post and 2 tweets. And I asked it for 1 Facebook post and 2 tweets. So that all worked out good. So all of this was compiled off this prompt and a link to a Wikipedia page, which was pretty solid return. Now I want to show you another cool thing that we've played with ChatGPT-4. If you are in the content creation space or in business, we've all heard, who is our ideal customer? Who is that avatar we are speaking to when we are writing or recording content? So I wanted to play with ChatGPT, and can it help me create an avatar? So let's scroll all the way up here. Ignore all previous prompts. I didn't want these returns polluted with anything. You are a senior marketing researcher. I need you to generate a user persona for the ideal customer of a podcast coach in Orange County. I am the coach that runs a successful podcast studio. We traditionally serve mid-range to high-end productions for hobbyists and corporate clients with global brands. Sitch Radio is the name of the studio and maintains a website that can be found at sitchradio.com. Our mission is Sitch Radio is here to help you tell your story. In further support of our mission, we are now offering coaching services for podcasters. Please include a detailed user description plus 3 additional tables, one for demographics, one for psychographics, and one for shopping behaviors. Before you answer, please ask any clarifying questions you have. Do you understand? And it came back with, yes, I understand, but I've got some questions for you. What is a typical age range? It's asking me questions to better understand what I want from it, which is pretty cool tool to use no matter what you're prompting. I answer these questions. It says great, thanks, and gives me a user persona for Sam Stevenson. Sam is a 38-year-old entrepreneur in Orange County, California, running a mid-sized eco-conscious clothing brand, so on and so forth. Here's the tables that I asked for. 38, male, 120K a year, entrepreneur, business owner, bachelor's degree, Orange County, California. Psychographics, personality, values, attitude, interests, lifestyles, behaviors. So this is all good information to start with. Shopping behaviors, preferred shopping online, decision-making, does research, but values expert opinion. This could be good for marketing to this individual. Willing to pay for high quality services. Brand loyalty is high if service meets expectations. And the shopping motivators, quality, expertise, convenience, and personalization. So we're getting some information that this fictitious person by the name of Sam Stevenson would think, act, behave. We use that in some marketing messages, in Facebook posts, in tweets, and we can start A/B testing. What kind of responses are we getting? Number one. And number two, do the responses come from an individual that somewhat meets or highly meets this persona? And then I went on to ask, what are the top 20 goals, desires, hopes, and dreams Sam Stevenson would have? And it throws me ideas for content, ideas for social media posts, ideas that are going to make him stop and read a post from us and introduce our brand to him. So that was all good information. If I offered Sam a free coaching session to move him into my sales funnel, what would be the top 10 intriguing titles for the offer? So now it's helping me with some marketing. Now I need you to write the compelling message for each of the suggested titles above. The goal is to get Sam to book an appointment. Please write an upbeat motivational tone. And now I have some marketing messages, whether they're DMs or a short email, to send to Sam. Write a compelling marketing piece that will make Sam want to sign up for a free discovery. Let me start over. Write a compelling marketing piece that will make Sam want to sign up for a free Discover the Power of Your Story complimentary podcast coaching session. And then it writes a much longer piece, even gives me sign-off blocks. Now, this is a cool trick we've been playing with. Rate this marketing piece on a scale of 1 to 10 for effectiveness. It comes back as an AI. I don't have personal opinions or feelings, but based on the marketing principles and best practices, I would say that this piece is around an 8 or a 9 out of 10 for effectiveness. Here's why. So now it's giving us information that we can improve our marketing message with before it goes out, to include a call to action. I've even gone as far as asking it, I tell you what, let's just do it. With this rating of 8 to 9, I always try to be polite. I forget it's a machine because it's so human-like. I don't need to ask it, please. It's a machine. With the rating of 8 or 9, please regenerate the response to improve upon it. I am looking for a rating of 9.5 to 9.8. Send. So now it's regenerating the previous response, correcting for its self-recognized deficiencies, which is pretty cool. It's bolding some text for me. I don't think, oh, it did before. Now, is this going to be perfect? No. Will I have to read through it and make sure it's all correct? Yes. And actually, from here, I pull things straight into Grammarly and run through with Grammarly, A, to correct my deficiencies, and B, to make sure it's in the same tone, to make sure it's not plagiarized. And I edit it while I'm in Grammarly, while I'm going through the checks. So now it even gives me a prompt to provide a link to the booking calendar. I have one more example I'd like to share with you. And again, this is on user persona, because coming up with that avatar can be difficult. And you sit, and especially if you don't have many customers, as time goes on, you can evaluate the customers you've had and redefine, pinpoint things in the customer avatar so you can better speak to that target demographic better in the future. But in the beginning, it's really hard. So starting with something like this would be phenomenal. Excuse me. Ignore all previous prompts, marketing researcher, generate user persona, pretty much the same before. And this time it returns a Sarah Thompson. The age is similar. Marketing manager, technology company. They're local to me. Interest, podcast, storytelling, digital marketing. I wish I could find this person in real life. That would be cool. And now it's giving me some demographics: age, gender, occupation, income, location, education, the psychographics, the shopping behaviors. Acting as this persona, please give me a list of 10 sales objections and the best responses I should use to counter the objections. Please keep it positive and upbeat. So now Sarah's going to say, no, I don't want to use your studio because I'm not sure podcasting is right for me. And now it's giving me a response to overcome that objection, so on and so forth. So this is a document I move into a sales page that I have. And if these objections are offered, I can now try my response to overcome them, rate them, A/B test them, and refine that message for future use. And it went on and gave me 10 of them, which was pretty cool. Ignore all previous prompts. You are a senior marketing researcher. I need you to generate a user persona for my ideal customer. So for some reason, I started it again. It asked me a question, just my ideal customer. It gave me an Emily Anderson, 32 years old, another marketing manager in tech startup. It likes marketing managers at tech startups. But it's giving me some additional information. So now, if I combine these user personas and come up with a single user persona, I'm going to be able to better speak to the desired customer I want and need to run my business. So that's been fun to play with in ChatGPT. I asked it again for sales objections. So now I have 20 once combined. Maybe I have 13, 14. It stopped. So it types remember and went, put the brakes on. And this is back when I was using ChatGPT 3. So all I did was type, please continue. Objection 10. It just picks up right where it left off. So that's a cool trip that's helped save me time not having to start over. Um, Off the cuff use case examples. Paste a job description for an open position that you would like to apply for. Ask it to review and remember, and then tell it you're going to paste your resume in and ask it to rewrite your resume, making it more applicable based on your current skills to the skills this new job requires. And within 2 or 3 back and forths, you're probably going to have some, I'm not even going to say probably, you will have some excellent information. I just worked through that exact example with somebody last night, and we kind of nailed it. And that resume, or the resume, was actually sent off to them this morning. So we're eagerly awaiting to see what comes back. Now, again, copied and pasted into Grammarly, spell checked, grammar checked, going through the paces, a couple of personal tweaks. It used some language that the individual wasn't comfortable with, so we dumbed it down, if you will. So if they were asked a question with that same word, they knew how to reply. But it's been a wealth of information, and I so desperately need to drink some water. I'm gonna pop Lynn's back in here and see if we have any questions. Or Lynn's, do you have any questions? Let's start there.
Well, yeah, let's start there. I've been playing with a similar thing, and with your resume thing, in that same prompt, you can add, oh yeah, write me a cover letter while you're at it, and knock that out. Because I find the cover letter to be the most just time-sucking piece of that. There have been jobs where if I finished a cover letter, I would have applied for them, but I didn't. And so now ChatGPT makes my cover letters.
It's interesting you say that, because once we were happy with the resume, we asked for a cover letter. Once we were happy with the cover letter, we asked for the email we're going to send to the individual with the attached resume and cover letter. And then we went a step farther. Please write a thank you email that I will send after my interview, thanking them for their time and letting them know I am interested in the position and moving forward. And it generates that email. And then we asked it to generate a follow-up email to be sent 2 weeks later if we haven't heard anything back. And it generates that email. So you've got all this context done. I mean, yeah, and writing a cover letter is kind of a pain in the butt. But when ChatGPT knows what job you're applying for, what company you're applying to, what your qualifications are, it spits it out in seconds. And yeah, we can go in and tweak it, and should. Pretty cool, if I do say so myself. Linz, can you see the content creation AI page with
I
Phineas
can
Banning on
indeed.
top? Awesome.
Yep.
Then I'm clicking the right buttons today for some reason. Linz, anything else? What have been your experiences with it?
Well, I find, you can go down all these rabbit holes, and I find I get paralyzed because now, theoretically, we have access to everything. And then I get caught up into, okay, well, where do I start? And that is often, I think stopping and getting clear. One of the things I've realized is if I stop and take a second and write about it with my hands and get clear about what I want, it's much easier then to then frame my thoughts for the prompt. If I just go in, it's like I'm making it up as I go. I have no grounding, right? But like, why did I come in here to start doing that? So to me, part of the process is maybe developing a library of prompts I've used before, or something that go like, okay, here's how I make sure that I'm doing this methodically and to best support me, instead of like, because you can go down a rabbit hole for a real long time.
Most definitely. And speaking of that rabbit hole, being able to edit your prompt or tweak your prompt and get a second response to almost the same ask has been a really cool tool, and has helped reduce the amount of time in crafting a great prompt. Um, Linz, you turned me on to Notion, and this is what people are seeing. You're seeing my arena,
Hmm.
and inside of it, I have a database of notes that I click to, and it should be going to. And there's this really cool Chrome extension where I can send Chat GPT to Notion. Okay. So right now we see EI course roadmap. That is my last note. I'm going to run up here and I'm going to send this prompt. And this was Sarah Thompson to Notion. So now I'm pulling it out of the Chat GPT environment for use later, to work on later, to further refine. And it's watch. Of course, it won't work right now because I'm trying to demo it. But I click on it. I can set it where I want it to go. In this case, I want it to go to all notes, and I'm going to say save full chat, and it's actually going to work first time. What? And then I run over here, and you can see that that user persona just loaded, and I can open it up in Notion. It told me it came from ChatGPT, gives me a link back to it. It breaks out my prompt versus the responses. It even included the tables, the next prompt, answers, so on and so forth. That entire dialogue is now in a
That's so
Notion
cool.
environment. Now, why Notion? Notion has replaced a lot of software for me. Notion is, you can dial it in, you can make it what you want. And it's drag and drop building for the most part. If there's heavy lifting to be done, there's Notion coders out there. It's not really coding. They can help you. There's templates out there you can get for free and or purchase if it's going to help you down the line. This isn't a paid promo for ChatGPT or Notion, but this is the reason I like sending AI from ChatGPT to Notion. I can come in here and highlight this, and I have AI within Notion as well. So I can say, make shorter, make longer, change the tone, improve the writing to help me further refine it before I pull it into Grammarly. So that's one of the plugins I use. It is called ChatGPT to Notion. And then you see this Notion here. Let me open up news story about plain. Let's not trigger anybody about fresh water. Scroll down past the ads. Freshwater news articles, thescientist.com. World's rivers. So we've opened this story up. Yes, I understand. And now I can click this and it acts as a web clipper. I can adjust the title and I can save the page, open in Notion. And now it's in my all notes right here for me to read later, cite later, do whatever I need to with. So when it comes to content creation and you're researching, back in the day, we used to copy and paste, this piece of the article in here we want to talk about, or it's just so much more fluid now. And I really love these two tools together. And from here, we can, again, use Notion's AI to shorten, fix spelling and grammar. See, it even recognizes there's grammar and it's saying, hey, we can fix that for you. So really, really cool tool. And that is pretty much going to conclude. Linz, do you have any further questions?
No, I would say that the key from what I've learned is to get into that. What is the CD? What were the acronym for again?
CD. We'll fly straight back to that. I'll put the prompt back up. We'll leave that up as a screen.
I
So people can refer to it or write it down if they choose.
Yeah, I think that the getting down that you're basically every prompt has a certain set of parameters, and if you give it all those parameters it can go running. And if you don't get clear on some of the context, instructions, details, and input, if you miss one of those, it's going to invent some stuff, or it's going to send you on a wild goose chase. So um getting into the pattern of being like providing context, telling it what to do, providing supporting details, giving if it needs a link or more text, thinking those things through, I think you can really run with this. And if you just kind of ask it, the more vague you are, the wilder and less useful potentially its results are. And so this is about like corralling it so it can run far and long in the direction that you want it to. And
Most
that's
definitely. And I've even gone as far to say, you saw in my examples, you are a copy editor, you are a book author, you are a marketing researcher. And then I've asked it for what tone. I need you in an angry tone to whatever, or I need you in an uplifting, motivational tone, inspire with whatever.
mm-hmm.
The more information you give it, the better it's going to be. You can't look at a newborn and tell it to go do something. It's got to grow up and learn to do something. The more specific you are, not with a newborn, say with a 10-year-old, the better it's going to respond to your ask. So it's the same way. The more
Mm-hmm.
specificity you can put in your ask, the better the information is going to be in the return.
Yeah. And in that regard, it's probably just best to go play. You can't break it. You know what I mean? It'll either give you useful results or not. But
Right.
but you may find, like I did, that you get stuck and overwhelmed. And then it's less about the limitations of the program and a little bit more about the limitations of yourself. And so this is where reaching out to somebody who can support you through this content creation stuff is really helpful. And this is I'm tag. You're it, Brian.
Well, on that note, I was invited to be part of this. They called it a think tank, but it was myself and two other gentlemen working on the best prompt to create user personas. And what this thing did, it returned a 4-page user persona when we were done. And it took 3 minds about an hour and a half going back and forth with ChatGPT to generate this thing. I have the prompt, but I need to break it out because it was specific to an individual in an industry, their demographics. So I just need to put filler in there so people can insert their whatever into it and see what kind of response they can get with it. But it was a fun experience with these two gentlemen. One was a professor at a university in the UK. The other is a CEO here for a very large company in the US. And it was a really cool experience working with them for a couple of days.
Well, yeah, and that because this is an emerging area, none of us have a complete set of knowledge, and so it's working with people on this is likely to get the best result because we have a collective minds to call for it.
Most definitely. And it's going to evolve. It's going to get better. It's going to provide more feature eventually as time goes on. So get in. Chat GPT is free. You can get the 3.5 version for free. Play with it. A lot of people are like, oh my gosh, it's the devil, and they're just turning their back to it because they don't understand it. But I really encourage you to play with it. Even if it's as simple as, hey, I've got these 10 foods in my refrigerator and need a recipe that I can cook in 20 minutes. You're going to get a recipe based off what you have. It's
You know,
amazing.
people have stopped searching it. This is so powerful that people have stopped searching Google. They are now asking ChatGPT to do things for them. That doesn't work for everything. Google is, more up to date, current with the most websites and everything for search. But if you're looking for sort of historical remedies or things that have been published for years and years, you can it'll say like, hey, teach me how to put together a coursework for me to learn how to cook, and it'll give you all the stuff, so it can be a teacher. Behave as a teacher and teach me how to run newsletters, and it'll put together a whole thing for you, because there's so many frameworks that have taught that in the past that it can call forth.
If you have a podcast about knitting, that thing my grandmother used to do, you can ask ChatGPT for 20 topics that can be used for episode information. You can use ChatGPT to build upon those topics. You can search the web and pull in information about that specific topic. And just reducing the amount of time. I mean, you saw how fast it spit out social media posts for me. I mean, what a time saver. I know, Linz, you love social and you do everything on your phone, man. My fingers are a little fat for that. It's amazing, but this, wow.
Well, I will say, even, and I like making my own posts too, and that, there's sort of something creative about that, but it's so much easier to start with some words on a page and go, let me tweak them for 2 seconds, instead of let me write this thing for 20 minutes. And if someone calls me while it happens, it may not save. And, there's just sort of like all this things that can go wrong. If you have them all built, it's a much better workflow.
Most definitely. Well, Linz, I want to thank you for participating with me on this. Everybody, if you would like more information on what we discussed today, visit bcolburn.com. Click on events. We have a half-day workshop. It is a paid event, but we actually have a half-day workshop coming up regarding everything we just, talked about. All my events are posted there when they come out. Take a peek there. And we have a resources tab. There's a ebook that I put together. You can purchase to download, again, on this same topic. And Linz, what social media platform is keeping you most intrigued right now today?
I will say, and today it's actually been Instagram lately. Yeah, I do love TikTok. Everyone who knows me knows I do love a good TikTok, but and I've been playing with YouTube and things, but I've recently had to, launch a couple of channels on Instagram and gotten into the flow of posting in stories every day and just watching the stats like climb, 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 and that's a fun. It's been a fun thing.
Definitely. I've kind of gone back old school, and I'm actually enjoying Twitter more and more. The more I play with it, I don't know. Maybe it's just because, I have a really poor attention span and they only have 240 characters. But TikTok, yes, I TikTok is like my entertainment, my decompression.
Mhm.
I just need to clear my mind, so I go spend too much time on TikTok. But yeah, Twitter. I've been digging Twitter.
All right.
So
Well,
where
yeah.
can they find you on Instagram?
On Instagram, I am at Linz Florin. My company is at GNP Shows. We also have the new the Debbie Campbell podcast link. We also do the Feed Drops newsletter. Lots of Instagram handles. Also, but if you want to talk with me about content and business stuff, LinkedIn is definitely a place where a lot of discussions happen, and meet me over there.
Very, very cool. And again, if you visit B Colburn, my first initial, B as in boy, last name Colburn, Colburn, you'll find me on all my social platforms and a couple other web pages we're running. Again, we're here to help you, whether it's Linz or myself. Give us a call if you need a little help and support over whatever's slowing your podcasting down. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Bye bye.